What do engineers actually do? We solve problems, and if we do our job right, a prototype emerges. But here's the truth they don't teach you in university. Building the circuit is the easy part. The real challenge is to turn that prototype to a final product and launching it into a market that actually wants to buy it. Now, let's be completely honest right from the start. I'm not a corporate business owner or a startup guru. I'm just an electrical engineering student, and I've been messing with electronics, burning my fingers with soldering iron since I was 11 years old. Over the last few years, I've been developing hardware in some very specific, fast-growing industries. And by looking closely at the unique economic shifts happening right outside of my window here in Kosovo, from a massive defense push to a construction boom, I realized something critical. Your local market is your biggest unfair advantage. Today, based on my own hands-on projects and the economic gaps I'm seeing firsthand in my country, I'm going to break down 3 engineering projects with huge startup potential for 2026. So in this video, I'll be talking about my personal experience, the path I'm following, and what I'm trying to build here in my country. And let's see, maybe you'll get inspired by something. But before we look at the projects, we need to talk about the core mindset shift you have to make. As an engineer trying to launch a startup, your biggest trap is building something just because it's technically cool. If you want a business that survives, you must focus on what is actually needed in the market, whether that's a massive global gap or a highly specific neglected niche. And for this, I have a perfect example of a hardware creator. He's my favorite creator. His name is Noam Aizenberg. So Noam is a mechanical engineer who suffered from severe TMJ, chronic painful jaw tension and joint clicking. And he realized that doctors kept telling patients to use heat and massage to relax the jaw muscles, yet a portable consumer-ready device that safely did both at the same time simply did not exist. He quit his job, grabbed a 3D printer and focused on solving that excruciating physical problem. He prototyped an aluminum heating tip, integrated a small vibration motor, custom routed an Arduino compatible PCB, and launched the myTMJ pen. So he took his engineering toolkit and aimed it directly to a painful, unserved market. And while doing all of this, he documented everything on his YouTube channel, so you can check and watch it afterwards. What we must understand here, whether you're building something like Noam did for a very specific niche, or analyzing macroeconomic trends in your hometown like I'm doing here in Pristina, the rule is identical. Find the gap point first, then write the firmware. Now we can move to the projects. Project number 1 is autonomous UAV defense drone. Globally, defense tech is shifting from multi-million-dollar jets towards agile, low-cost drone ecosystems. And locally, Kosovo is investing heavily on defense infrastructure. So if you can build a cheap, intelligent, eye-in-the-sky hardware, you're entering one of the highest growth industries of this century. The startup gap here isn't building a remote control drone, it's building autonomy at the edge. You design a system that doesn't rely on GPS or external signals that can be easily jammed, and instead it uses optical navigation and local computer vision to patrol a perimeter, identify unauthorized drone incursions, and track them autonomously. Not just in Kosovo, but the global defense landscape is experiencing a massive shift. Silicon Valley defense startups like Anduril are securing massive military contracts for AI-infused squad-level loitering munitions, like their Bolt AM platform. Why? Because lightweight, autonomous aerial systems give ground forces a massive asymmetric advantage without needing a multi-million-dollar air support. And when you pair that global trend with the reality here in Kosovo, where the Ministry of Defense is investing aggressively on defense and UAV industry, the market gap becomes blindingly obvious. Personally, I've always had curiosity to UAV and aerial technologies. And it's an area I've poured hundreds of hours research and hands-on experience, where also this summer, me and my friends, we will develop loitering munition swarm technologies, which I also will document the progress we're going to make here on my YouTube channel. Now, as a startup, especially if you're a student, of course, it's not easy. But what is actually most important here and where are we focusing more is in swarm intelligence and guiding control. So the project we are focusing on building is a localized hardware node that solves this exact problem using computer vision at the edge and decentralized mesh networking. By designing a prototype system where one lead drone or a stationary ground radar can detect a target, visually lock onto it, and instantly share those tracking coordinates with a secondary autonomous node over an encrypted local mesh network, you just built the foundational architecture of modern defense tech. So you're not selling weapons, but building a low-cost, expandable swarming infrastructure that can protect private infrastructure, monitor borders, or integrate seamlessly into a nation's defense scaling strategy. It's a high-growth, high barrier to entry startup model. It requires a lot of effort to put on, and it might take not months but years. But maybe your passion isn't in the sky. Maybe you want to build a startup that tackles fundamental economic vulnerability right on the ground. Food security. Let's look back at our market analysis. Every single winter, the markets here in Kosovo face a massive issue. We rely heavily on importing out-of-season vegetables from neighboring countries. Because of transport, customs, and middleman markups, local consumers end up paying highly inflated prices for fresh produce that isn't even truly fresh by the time it hits the shelf. Right now, commercial-grade, fully automated indoors agricultural technologies is non-existent in our region. So if you can grow vegetables indoors during the freezing winter months, you can undercut the import market, sell to local supermarkets for cheaper, and pocket a massive profit margin. So this is project number 2, automated hydroponic and aeroponic systems. Now, I'm not just talking about theory here. I've actually been building and documenting this exact project right here on the channel. I designed a 3D printed vertical tower system using PETG, and by carefully balancing the pH levels of the water and constantly tweaking the automated lighting system, I actually successfully grew lettuce at some point right on my workbench until they got molded. But that's another story. You can watch the chaotic journey from this video. But for now, I'm maintaining this project as an experiment to gain more experience in the field and to learn pros and cons, advantages, disadvantages of this system. Because when you transition from electrical engineering to biology, the reality hits you hard. On paper, a basic Arduino Nano is maintaining the 16-8 hours light cycle, pumping the water with nutrients to the plants. The sensors read the temperature, humidity levels of the room, of the inner parts of the towers. Everything sounds easy and perfect, but it's not. As on every field, this system has also its own difficulties. You have to deal with structural printing failures, keeping your nursery alive, and fighting off unexpected mold outbreaks in the water reservoir. But that experimental phase is exactly how a startup is born. You find the failure points early, so it's actually good making mistakes during the experimental phase. That's why it's called an experiment. You learn by making mistakes. As for even more technical details of the system, plants grown in a soil-free system need exact unforgiving conditions. If the water's pH spikes, or if the nutrition concentration drops for even a day or for a couple hours, you lose the entire harvest. And I also want to mention that instead of selling vegetables and different plants, the true startup potential here is selling the infrastructure. So you build and license this system and sell it to high-quality restaurants, supermarkets, farmers, anyone dealing with agriculture, even hobbyists like anyone that grows something at their home and their balcony just for a hobby, like just to have some tomatoes for breakfast in the morning. It's a field that I like, and right now, as I said, I'm maintaining it as an experiment. I'm still learning, and I'll continue developing myself on this. And after that, I'll try to scale it to a startup, and let's see. I'll probably document everything here on my channel. So if you want to learn and if you're curious about it, you can subscribe on my channel and also follow me on Instagram. Now let's look out the window again to our third macro trend, the sheer scale of modern infrastructure being built right now. Walk through any city in Kosovo, you'll see a massive residential construction boom. Thousands of new apartments and houses are going up every single year, and the new generation of home buyers moving into these spaces wants a modern, fully connected smart home. But if you look at the global smart home market, it's fundamentally broken. Major tech giants expect you to buy smart switches, cameras, and hubs that force you into cloud dependencies, monthly subscription models, and constant data tracking. People are getting tired of it, and they don't want a security system that stops working the second the internet drops, and they don't want their personal data sent to overseas cloud servers just to turn off a bedroom light. This opens up a massive hardware startup gap for our third project: privacy first smart home automations. Now, this startup model might be a little bit local, like special for Kosovo, because of, as I said, there is a residential buildings business going on right now here. So of course it's easier to sell such projects in such environment where like it's actually needed. But maybe you'll take inspiration from something, so let's talk about it. The startup angle here is radical simplicity and absolute privacy. You're offering a hardware ecosystem that runs entirely within the local network of the user's house. Watch this. I can completely disconnect our main internet line, cutting the house off from the global web. But because our smart hardware communicates over a strictly localized network, the switches, relays, and automated routines still respond instantly with zero latency. To build this at a professional level, your goal here is to build custom hardware nodes like smart relays and multi-sensors that communicate over local open protocols, or implement the new Matter standard over the Wi-Fi 6, which allows your custom boards to talk directly to the local hubs like the Google Assistant, Home Assistant, or Apple Assistant completely offline. So how does this become a viable business? You don't try to compete on Amazon against cheap, mass-produced smart plugs. Your B2B startup strategy is to partner directly with local construction companies, real estate developers, and electrical contractors during the architectural blueprint phase. You sell them a pre-configured localized smart home package that they can install directly into entire apartment buildings before the drywall even goes up. For you, it's a B2B hardware startup model with a clear scaling market right in your backyard. Maybe like the first and this last example was a little bit more like a local matter here in Kosovo, but I'm sure you can take inspiration and build similar or a little bit different startup models. These are like top 3 fields I'm developing myself on, because I see these projects as startup potentials, first building in my country, then scale up into the region. I hope you enjoyed my video, and this is not actually a video type I do often. I usually post tutorial videos and I document my projects here, so it's not a topic I'm used to talk about. So maybe some of you think differently from me and you have different ideas. I invite all of you to leave your thoughts and ideas down in the comments. Thanks for watching, subscribe for the next videos, and see you in the next one.